What's up guys, Jeff Cavalier, ATHLEAN-X.com. Why don't we do a whey protein 101? Everybody knows how important it is, especially if you're taking supplements, but we want to know what are we actually getting when we take it. And there's so many different variations. If we could put together a video here to help break that down, then I thought it could be helpful. So I want you guys to sort of envision, first of all, what is whey protein? If we look at milk, it's got two main components. It's got curds and whey. Whey is a liquid portion. In that liquid portion, we have not just protein, but protein, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, and minerals. All that we have when we talk about the different kinds of whey protein are basically different stages in preparation of that protein to the point at which it gets to you. So if we think about it, it's a three-step process here, or three or four-step process. And where the manufacturer intervenes and puts it in a bottle is really what you're getting. So when you look at whey concentrate, it's the first step. It's basically taking that separated out whey and filtering out the main impurities and then giving you the rest of it. The thing is, that can be 35 to 80% protein by weight. That is a big variation, guys, between how much protein is actually in an amount of powder. So if you're looking at 20 grams of powder and it's only 50% by weight, you're only getting 10 active grams of protein in a concentrate. Luckily, some manufacturers will steer towards the high end. I can tell you ATHLEAN-RX steers towards the high end. To the highest end, we use 80% in our concentrate, so that for every 10 grams of the protein by volume, you're getting 8 active grams of the protein when we use our concentrate. Again, we'll use mostly isolate in all of our proteins, but just to point that out, this is also going to have a higher concentration of lactose in it. Again, less treatment, less purification process, more lactose. So if you are a lactose intolerant person, if you buy a whey concentrate, you're going to find that you have a lot more gut issues having that than you would somewhere along the way down here. We'll talk about these in a second. It's going to retain a high percentage of the important subfractions. We know that whey protein is important as an immune boosting agent. Well, a lot of those important boosting properties come from the subfractions like lactoferrin that are in whey protein. Those are going to be, again, untouched for the most part in whey concentrate, so you're going to have good immune boosting effects from concentrate. The best, actually. And then finally, this is absorbed a little bit slower, again, because you have other components in here. You are going to have some fat, you are going to have some carbohydrates. That's going to delay the gastric emptying of a concentrate versus an isolate when you compare them side by side. Next, let's move into that next step. So now, if we treat that, we take that concentrate and we treat it a little bit more, then we have more benefits and sometimes more things that we don't like about it. That's isolate here. This now is at least 90% protein by weight. Okay, so in order to have that, for every 10 grams, you have to at least be delivering 9 active grams of protein. And again, we score off the charts here. We have a very high ratio of our whey isolate that we deliver in our ATHLEAN-X supplements. There are far less issues with lactose intolerance here. Why? Because almost all of the lactose is removed when you go through that additional purification step of an isolate. It may destroy immune boosting subfractions like lactoferrin, because now the more we treat it, the more that we start to break down some of those other components as we break down the protein into smaller and smaller peptides. I say may because we're going to talk about, lastly, the different ways in which whey protein isolate is prepared. But before we do, I'll talk about one other version here, and it is another way that is covered, and that's hydrolyzed protein, okay, which is just basically hydrolyzed protein. You've seen it on labels probably before. Some people will say this is the end-all, be-all of protein. I kind of don't agree. What you're dealing with here is, yes, the fastest absorbing form of protein, because it is so broken down. It's broken down to all of its individual peptides. It actually kills all the, we call, quaternary structures of protein, but those are the lactoferrin and immune boosting subfractions, so you're completely destroying those when you do this. And it was actually done because they wanted to take out any of the things that could be potentially allergenic, right? So these immune boosting fractions are also very highly acted upon by our body in some cases when they see them as an allergen, so you can have an allergic reaction to them. That we're getting rid of to make baby formula. That's how this was all sort of created in the first place. And it's going to taste awful because the amino acids, once they're completely free from the rest of their protein chains, are bad. We've talked about it before, the branched chain amino acids. When you break them down to individual components, Things like leucine taste god-awful, and proline tastes god-awful, and they're just floating around in here, so when you go to eat this, it's going to taste like crap. The bottom line is, before we talk about these last two things here, is you got to understand, guys, that the way that these are broken down, they're talking about, you know, is it denaturing the proteins? We're going to eventually, whether these are broken down when they come in a bottle, or whether they're broken down in your gut, your body's going to break these things down eventually into their individual components. So the argument some people will make about denaturing proteins, guys, when you take a thing of egg whites and you pour it into a hot pan to make your scrambled eggs, you are denaturing that protein. The thing is, you're not changing the muscle building properties of the protein when you do that. You're not changing the muscle building properties. It can still have a benefit, or you would never be finding any benefits from eating cooked proteins. You'd be eating everything raw. So don't confuse that. It's really these other steps that really determines whether or not one is more right for you or not. So of the isolate, there's two things that we see most often: a cross-flow microfiltration and an ion exchange preparation. With the ion exchange preparation, guys, these are usually treated with chemicals like hydrochloric acid and other reagents that basically do the splitting. They're lysing, they're splitting these proteins into individual components. That's not ideal, okay? I don't really need to have foreign chemicals introduced into here to do the breaking down for us. We're going to have that in our own body, in our own gut. We have our own acids to do that. Cross-flow microfiltration is a process that uses cold temperatures to split the fractions into their parts. This, again, if you want to go down the road of not denaturing your protein, this is what this is. High-end cross-flow microfiltration will not denature the proteins because it won't expose them to heat. Other processes that I haven't even covered here will expose them to high heat, and that could break down the proteins. But again, it breaks down the proteins and causes a breakdown of a lot of these other important fractions like I talked about, like the lactoferrin. That will be why you would want to eliminate the chemical and the high heat conditions. But from a standpoint of the value of the protein itself, it's still going to have a high value in terms of building muscle. But I like to think, again, with ATHLEAN-X, it's not just about building muscle, it's about creating a whole better you. Well, that's why we want to worry about the benefits that we do want to preserve here of the immune boosting. So, ion exchange, again, cross-flow microfiltration is the way that the isolate is further prepared. Same thing with the hydrolyzed protein. All in all, what does that mean to you guys? It should just mean that when you're looking for your protein, determine what it is you're looking for. If you have a lactose intolerance, you got to start looking right here at the isolate. If you're not lactose intolerant, you probably can get away with the concentrate. You're going to have really good immune boosting effects. Again, I like the combination of the speed of entry of isolate. I like the fact that we can prepare it with a cold process, a cross-flow microfiltration, to get you guys the highest quality and purity in the protein. And I like the fact that, again, it has all of these important immune boosting agents intact as well. So that, guys, if you haven't already tried, is how we develop our ATHLEAN-RX supplements. We choose the highest quality proteins, we choose the highest quality ingredients. We get you guys none of the fluff, none of the filler, none of that crap, to make sure that the stuff that we deliver to you at the end of the day is the best product that you can possibly use. If you haven't already, guys, head to ATHLEAN-RX.com to see what it is that we're doing with our supplement line, expanding every day to meet the demands of what you guys want and need. In the meantime, if you found this video and this 101 helpful, make sure you leave a thumbs up below and some comments. And if you want me to continue to do more of this nutritional breakdown, I'm happy to do it. Just let me know what it is you want me to cover. All right, guys, I'll be back here again soon.